Hello and welcome to the 26th Manx Footy Pod of the 2018-19 season. Today myself and Dave are joined by St Geordies stalwarts Johnny Myers and Chris Bass Jr. Welcome to Podcast HQ for the first time, Johnny.
Thanks very much.
Welcome back, Chris. Always a pleasure to have you in.
Thanks very much.
We of course got you in to discuss Friday evening's Keystone Law Hospital Cup final with St Mary's and reflect on Geordies' season as a whole. But before that, Dave,
your favourite time of the week?
Yeah, the lads have already started the biscuits. We're on the Nestle Breakaway Originals.
Yeah, I feel like we've undersold it a bit for Chris because last time he was in, he really spoiled us, didn't he?
Yeah, we should have really pushed the boat out rather than the quid I got for 6 of these. But I did see this is supporting farmers for better chocolate.
Well, there you go.
I nearly went to the shop on the way in. I didn't think I'd have time because Johnny doesn't like me being late.
Well, to be fair, we had an issue with the printer, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
So we have delayed proceedings a little bit today already. So breakaways, Johnny, are you a fan of
solid effort?
biscuit?
Yeah,
Good 7 out of 10.
Is it
Julian Ringham of a biscuit?
Well, yeah, Julian's like an 8-9, but we'll give him a 7.
Chris, do you like him?
Yeah, I love them. But is it a biscuit though?
Oh.
That's the question, isn't it? Definitely a biscuit.
I'd say it's a biscuit. It says each biscuit, if you look on the packet, it gives you the calorific intake.
If that's how they're selling it, that's what we'll go with.
Right, we're not just here to talk about biscuits. Chris, as we alluded to just moments ago, it's the Hospital Cup. I don't know, maybe we'll try and get rid of this.
Don't need to say it, right?
Yeah, go on.
Right, yeah, so it's the Hospital Cup final tomorrow night. So what's the mood in the camp like heading into the final?
Very good.
Good.
Yeah, very good. Everyone's looking forward to it. Good experience for the younger lads playing the cup final. The other night, the game against Ramsey, I thought we played reasonably well. There was a spell in the second half for 10-15 minutes where we lost our way, lost our shape a little bit, but yeah, we seem to have a solid enough team. It looks promising. Everyone's looking forward to it.
In that game, as you say, I mean, you guys were always in control. Always felt you could have moved up through the gears if you needed to. Ramsey were a plucky side though, and it was a decent little test for you. But also, like St Mary's had a similar game as well against Foxdale, so it's both going into the match with really good form. So it should be a good battle, shouldn't it?
It'll be a good battle. It always is with St Mary's. It doesn't matter what form is like before going into it.
Yeah.
Both sides don't want to lose to each other. It's always been that since the day we started playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think form's too much of an issue for either side going into it. It just depends on who plays well and who wants it the most, I think, on the night.
So the semi-final's only a few days ahead of the final, which is a bit unusual in some ways. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for you guys? Is it nice to sort of build a bit of momentum?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really matters. Playing on a Tuesday and a Friday. The midweek games are harder to get up for. You know, people are finishing work at 5:30 and then strolling in at 5:45, which is not ideal. But no, I mean, I don't see any issue with it at all. You know, there's not going to be any fatigue or anything like that. So yeah, it's fine. You know, Tony's got a difficult job trying to fit them in. But yeah, Friday night under the lights, you know, it's gonna be good. Hopefully, get a good crowd down.
Well, we need the lights though. You know, it's obviously glorious sunshine at the moment. I don't want to take any Dave reads the weather away, but it's it's usually been quite light. Will they have to put them on though? Because I believe there's a rule, isn't it? If you're playing under floodlights, you have to have them on from the start.
Well, no, it's probably a bit inaccurate there, Dave. I think, Andy. But no, I think after a
not
certain,
for the first time.
After a certain time, so if it finishes past, I think it may be 8:30, 8:15 or something like that, you have to have the full lights on.
Right.
So I know you have to have them at the start of a half, so obviously that'll be 7:45 if they have to put them on.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's got a chance to go into extra time and penalties, so I'd imagine they'll be on it.
Yeah.
Around about half time.
Well, we'll see. I'll tweet. Well, you're going to the game, right? Yeah. So you can update us with the floodlights.
That's a big pressure, that is. I don't know.
Are you not going, Andy?
No, I'm not smart. I might have the squash final tomorrow to cover. So
he's a sporty person. I'm not. So
yeah.
Is that orange or blackcurrant?
Whatever's available, mate. I'll take it. Chris, now obviously in the previous days, independent, we talked. I think it's been very close this season between the two teams. It was a draw on the opening day this season. I think they picked it 3-2 on the reverse fixture, and then obviously the 4-0 win you guys picked up in the Railway Cup. It's going to be close, isn't it? This game on Friday night.
It will be, definitely. It'll definitely be close. I think the first game, when you look at the season, obviously St Mary's are realistically probably going to finish 7 points clear of ourselves, who are second. But there's fine margins this year. It's been really fine margins. I think when you look at it overall, from what we know of St Mary's collecting the players they did and the way they've trained, they trained hardest out of everybody else. And I think you get your rewards for that. We've had that for however long we've been winning trophies for. We were always the hardest working team. And I think that's what's come down to this year. So it's really fine margins. In the games we've played, the first game was 1-1. In my opinion, we probably should have won the game, but then also at the very end, probably should have lost as well with Jack's free kick. I think it was unfortunate for it to get ruled out. The semi-final wasn't really much of a gauge in terms of how close the teams are going to be because they were missing big players. Yeah. Obviously, due to Liam Doyle's wedding in America, they were missing big players. But then the game up at ours when we lost 3-2, we were in a good position, winning 1-0. We missed chances. Obviously, I missed a really good chance to make it 2-0. And the game's really good chance. Probably the best chance in my career that I've missed. But in the games this season when we've played the top sides, we played Peel and we were in the same position at half time 1-0. We lost Sam Kane due to an injury, and that's a big player to lose. Yeah. When we played St Mary's, we lost Sean due to an injury, and you've got to rejig the squad. We haven't really had the squad this year for being able to lose players like that. So I think we were unfortunate in the second game, but then St Mary's probably did deserve to win. But how we put our chances away, we could be looking at a different league table altogether.
Yeah.
So it is fine margins.
You say it's been fine margins, but Johnny, after losing so many key players, and I was trying to add it up in my head. Obviously, you lost Jack and Frank, as well known to St Mary's. Joe has been on his scholarship, and obviously he's back this weekend, but he's been in America. Andy went to Ramsey, and Judge has retired, and there's maybe a couple more that fringe players that have sort of stepped away. But were you surprised as where you are this season? I know you gave me stick because I think I said you were only going to finish third or fourth, but were you thought, oh no, we can do it this year?
Yeah, because obviously, at the end of last year, we had the young players coming through. Yeah. You like your Sid, Jay, Joel, Brido, Mally. Mally's been great this year. And yeah, I mean, I still think we're right up there, the best or the second best team in the league. The difficulty has been getting a consistent 11, and a consistent 13 every week to try and bolster our chances. But the biggest thing that we've lost, I know obviously Frank and Jack have been massive losses. We sort of haven't really covered them. Glenn Walker's been absolutely fantastic this year. Andy's a great goalkeeper, and he's a great servant for us. But Glenn's come in and made some unbelievable saves in the second half of the season.
Just like that one the other night from there.
I mean, that's what I mean. He had nothing to do, and then made a tremendous save. Corinthians in the cup quarter final, I think it was. His penalty saved the rebound, made numerous good saves. I'm pretty disappointed for him that he's not got in the Ireland squad, to be honest, because I can't see many goalkeepers better than him at the minute. But yeah, the young lads have been tremendous. The only downside, I think, which Chris kind of alluded to, was the tight games. They're just a bit naive because they're not used to the situation when we're winning games, and it's they're still trying to play in the wrong areas and stuff like that. Where I think that's going to come in time now with game management and stuff like that. And the Peel game, the last league game against Peel, which obviously people didn't think it was meant anything, but it meant something to us finishing second, and 3-2 up, and we they held the lead for the last 10 minutes and sort of managed the game better. So I think next year that's going to be a massive learning curve for them. And obviously then they've now got the experience to kick on, and then if they don't kick on, then they'll end up going to play somewhere else.
Agreed. After the game against Ramsey, I ran into Bassey Senior, and the first thing he said was that the future's looking bright, and it's hard to disagree. I mean, in that game alone, obviously there were so many youngsters playing, but there is definitely a feeling that there's a special squad in the making there, isn't there? I think we've highlighted them throughout the season, but they don't look out of place in that team at all.
They never have. From the minute they played their first game, each of them, I think the only one was Joel that gets a bit of stick for it, never scored on his debut. Everybody else did, even Brad scored on his debut. They've never looked out of place, and they are good footballers, and they always have been. Like I said, when I watched the junior team as a team, I've not seen a better team ever at that sort of age group. They all understand the game, like Johnny's alluded to there about game management as you go on playing in senior football. It is completely different. But yeah, they've never been out of place. They're all really good footballers. The only thing that we might struggle with is holding on to everybody with going away to the American scholarships or university. We don't know. We only know that we're going to lose Lewis next year, which is a big loss because Lewis has been outstanding for us. And you can put him in any position, and even playing centre midfield for a couple of games towards the end of the season, he was outstanding.
He was outstanding when he came on against Brentford for the Isle Man team. So he stepped
was.
up, like he looked like he'd been playing there all his life.
It's just his determination. He has this character whereby you put me in any situation, and I don't care.
I think one of the biggest things with him is that he knows what he's good at and what he's not so good at, and he doesn't try and do what he's not so good at. And that's that's always going to be a good player. He is like Ringham in that sense. He's quick, he's good in the air, he covers well, and he's a good passer on the short ranges. So he sticks to that, and if he sticks to that, he'll be in the Ireland team for years.
That's just the thing. What are we going to be able to keep hold of them?
Yeah,
that's the thing. But then if you look at the age group below that,
I was just going to make that very
we had Ben Wasser came on for us the other night. Lucas James, is it that he's played a couple of times?
Yeah, he scored on his debut.
Scored on his debut as well.
And that was against Old Boys.
Ben played against Jims and was outstanding. Ben was our best player, and he was brilliant. And they've got a really good squad, and there's a couple of them lads that couldn't play for us this year because they were too young right up until the end of the season. And so from the age group below the ones we've got in the first team at the minute, it looks good again for us. Whether they stick to, they've got the determination and the will to want to work and win things. It's down to them, but they look promising as well for us.
I was just going to say that in the Independent today, we have a picture of your under-16s who've won the treble this year at that level. I think they won the Brad Campbell Cup on the weekend, beating Peel 4-1, 4-2, something like that. And it looks like you've got another raft ready to come in. And with Combi side, Johnny, you've sometimes struggled with that as a club. But this season it seems to have come together again, and you were unlucky I think you got to semi-finals of the Junior Cup, and
they were unlucky. Obviously, St Mary's are a really strong side in the combination. They've got like a plethora of talent to choose from. I think we're a bit unlucky there because Ringham had qualified, but he got a bit of an injury. So you still got the mix there. So you've got Julian who's playing a little bit, not much, but because he can't train. You've got Nick Bass who's qualified for that, and then you've got all the youngsters coming in. I mean, and Chris was saying there about the 16s. There's at least 6 or 7 of them who you could just throw in a first team now,
right?
And they would do really well. Charlie Gibson, right back, he's going to be an unbelievable player. He's big, strong. Reminds me a bit like Adam when he was sort of just coming 15, 16, and there's a load more of them. So hopefully, if we keep holding next year, they have to go in the combi, and get used to the men's football and senior level. They're not just going to go, all right, let's go and play in the second division first team, because they're not going to get as much there as they are training with our guys week in, week out, and playing 90 minutes every Saturday.
Yeah.
For a year or two at least.
It's not just the players that we need to keep hold of as well, though, because we've got to give a massive shout out to like Sir Gaz Lloyd and Sam with the job they've done for them this year. Gaz is, not many people know about him. He sits in the background, but he takes a lot of time coming to our training sessions. He does work with the Ireland development squad, and he's a great coach, brilliant. And if we can keep all the people like him, and also have Sam come through his coaching badges, which he's wanting to do, it's going to be great for the club, great for our future. Yeah,
we're talking about future, and we're talking at the other end of the scale. I know you guys, it pains me to say this because we're all the same age, but you're coming towards the end of your playing career, maybe. But have you thought about that yet, or is it still? Has this sort of reinvigorated you? These kids coming through, thinking, "Oh, actually, I want to help these guys progress." Chris, so you?
Yeah, it has crossed my mind a few times whether it's a work-life balance now, whether I can put the effort in. And I've always been someone that if I can't put 100% into it, I don't really want to be one of them players that turns up now and again. I just don't think it's fair on anyone else, and it's also not fair on myself, because I wouldn't be given what the team needs. So if I can still give enough time to it and put enough commitment into it, then I'll just keep going for as long as my legs let me. But it's a work-life balance and family balance and stuff like that does come into it and plays a massive part in it.
Yeah. Johnny, what about yourself?
I mean, I'll just play as long as I can. Obviously, I'm enjoying playing a couple of games for the vets here and there. We're still performing. Myself, Chris, and Sean's in the same boat. So for the next, answers one of the questions there. For the next kind of 1, 2, even 3 seasons, I can't see us really stopping. Obviously, it might sort of thin out a bit, and we might, have a couple of weeks rest and then come back in, stuff like that, because it has been difficult trying to get all 3 of us on the pitch at the same time and training twice a week. Chris Bass Senior, he has to sort of maybe take a step back and think, well, these guys can't go up the steps for an hour, every Thursday before a game, because it's just not real. So, but that's a discussion for another day for us. But Yeah, I can't. I mean, as long as you still got the hunger, I can't see why people would want to
So
stop.
it comes down to hunger, but like you alluded to about the younger lads coming through, yeah, it does make it easier
Yeah.
to come training when you've got them lads who are committed and are kind of enthusiastic about it. If you turn up to a group of players that can take it or leave it, then we might have a different sort of attitude towards it. But the lads that we've got, the younger lads, they like to turn up, they want to train hard, they want to do well in the games, they want to win trophies. So yeah, we're having them young lads there definitely has helped this year and will help next year.
But the difficulty is going to be, because we have a Monday session on Birmingham and we have 20-25 people there because they want to play football. Difficulty is other teams who have got the bowl twice a week and things like that, and all they're doing is playing football and training. They're like getting onto them saying, "Oh, you don't have to go run on the roads." But I think the young lads now realise that, you know, you have to do the hard work, otherwise, you know, you're going to struggle.
Well, we talked. It became a famed part of the trademark of your game for the last 10 years. Second half, Geordies always came on strong, didn't they? Because of your fitness, and that's the work you've done on the road or the steps or whatever,
and last year Corinthians took that on, and they were doing 3 sessions a week. You know, every time we went down training, they were running, and you know they won 2 cups and got beaten in another final, came second in the league, and it's hard to keep it going. Like people will only realise how much effort it takes to stay at the top for so long when they start doing it 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Because, you know, Corinthians have tailed off 3rd or 4th in the league, no cup finals. St Mary's have put the effort in. Alex has got them up the steps on the roads. You know, they've cup final, cup semi-final, combi, double, league, possible double, do you know what I mean, for the first team. So it's no fluke where they are.
No.
But it's not the dominance you guys had. It's not.
Well, it'd be interesting.
Peel obviously have put that, you know, had a good season as well, won a couple of cups.
Yeah.
And I think this season has probably, well, to me, highlighted how good your period of dominance was, really.
Next season will be interesting for them.
Yeah.
For St Mary's especially.
Yeah.
Can they put the same amount of work in? Who are they going to sign?
They might lose some as well.
They
That's
might
a big
lose some.
squad.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've already heard there's a few leaving them, and you know, Peel are always strong. Folky's had the same mentality as Chris. You know, he's got them running all the time in the gym. But you know, they're apparently going to lose 3 or 4 of their Ramsey and the Northern lot. You know, and it's difficult to replace. And obviously, you say, like, you know, everyone looks at our team getting older. You like to P. Kelly's not played this year that much. Bella's going to be 34 this year. You know, Dom's going to be 37, even though he's still a great player. So, you know, they've always had a great youth setup anyway. They had a couple of lads played against us, that Lane and Kenya. So, you know, so the future's bright for them as well. So Alex has just got a tough job just to try and build something, you know, try and start, and, you know, as well as having the first team, try and sort of build a couple of youth teams and, you know, do what sort of Gars, I know there's a question about him, do what he's done at Dugston District. We had to do it many years ago when Uncan took all our youth team, and we started off with the 9s and 10s with Howard and his coaches, and now we've got, you know, 16s of 12s, 10s, 8s, you know. So it does take time, but you know, you have to put the effort in, otherwise, you know, the young kids are just going to be all over the place.
It was often talked about in professional football, but do you think it's still the case here, Chris, that maybe your dad's a bit different in some respects, that he plays younger kids? I still think there's still a bit of a, you know, wariness of playing under 16s or under 18s in first team football over here, and I don't know why, you know, because they're not going to get the experience otherwise, are they?
I think his attitude's always been, if you're good enough, doesn't matter what age, you're going to be in the team, because I don't think he was ever one of them people that he's not going to sort of let someone say, "Oh, I'm getting bullied a little bit," or when I was playing, if I went down and Dave Power used to try and run on the pitch as soon as I've gone down, and my dad was like, "Leave him, let him get up, he'll learn." And I think that's his attitude with these young players. If you're good enough, it doesn't matter what sort of size, physique, you're just going to play.
But do you think he's the exception rather than the rule? Do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think maybe other clubs don't have a choice but to play the younger lads. Maybe they don't have enough players, and they need their younger lads. But I think there is a few people out there. I wouldn't say my dad's the only one, but he does have this mentality that he likes to see the enthusiasm of the young lads, and if they're willing to work hard, they'll get the rewards, and he's willing to put them in the team, regardless of who he's going to be taking out. And that's always been his attitude. And I think last season he may have thought, we're struggling a bit, the commitment's been lost, I might have to step away for someone else to come in. Maybe we were looking at Johnny to come in and freshen it up a little bit with different ideas. But my dad's now seen this team of younger lads and another group below them, and he thinks, you know what, this is worth sticking around for because he enjoys it.
Much to your mum's
She's put up with it for 30 years, so why not another 10? You know? So, no, he's enthusiastic about the future, and I think, as long as them young lads show him commitment, he's got no problems with putting them in at all. Never has done.
I think that was his biggest qualm at the start of the season. He came in and said, right, you know, I might do it with Dicko, and they both came down for a chat, and you know there was 10 people there, you know, and we had to do
that
something. We had to do something to try and show them that, you know, there's going to be another wave, and you know the lads that have come in have been brilliant, and they have given him a new lease of life. You know, and he's mellowed out a little bit, because he knows, you know, times are changing. You can't just go and flog them twice a week on the road, because they won't play for you, and also the rule where you can move before December. So that plays a big part in it, because he keeps them nice and sweet until then, and then and then he actually said it in the changing room. He said, "You're mine now. I can do what I want after on the 1st of January."
You got to shuffle your squad like that. You have to play the game a little bit, because you don't want to be losing 5-6 players because they've been picked.
And I suppose at that age there's venture groups, isn't there? If you lose one, you lose three, and stuff like that.
That's the mentality of a lot of people within the island. If one moves, I'm going to move with you, or 2 or 3 will bring them as well, because I'm not happy with going by myself, because I don't think we'll do a good enough job on my own. So, but if we can bring 4 or 5 of us, we'll be brilliant together. And that's the mentality on the island in quite a lot of places.
But I look around at them young lads, and I can't see one of them want to leave, and that's a good thing. You know, normally you think, oh well, he might not have played that much, but the whole group of them they just want to stay. And like Chris said, we're going to lose Brido, because he's the only clever one, to university. But you know, Joel and Jay, they're dumb and dumber, so they'll be here for life.
Their job from now, we've said it, Johnny's been the master at it over the years, it's their job now. They come together as a group and stick together as a group, and they sort of try and bring 1 or 2 players in from other clubs, because other clubs will look at them going, what a great group of young lads, it'd be great to be part of something like that. So we've been saying to them, you know, it's your turn now to be trying to invite other players to come to us that we need. Oh, I don't think we need many for next year. We maybe need 2, 3 at the most, maybe.
Yeah. We've got 2 guaranteed. So.
So for next
season, big summer signings.
Big marquee signings. Right. I'll look forward to the unveiling of them, the kit. It is, of course, award season, isn't it, David?
So we have to sort of look back on the season as a whole and think, so which players have stood out for you guys? Like, not just in Geordies, across the division.
Obviously, Reece Oates has been named FA Player of the Year this year. But anyone else caught your eye, Johnny?
I mean, I think well deserved. I had them. If I had to choose, it was very close. I probably would have just given it to Jack, from what I've seen. But you know, Reece is a fantastic player. No one can look at him winning that award and think, oh, someone else should have won it. I'd imagine it'd have been very, very close between them two. The 2 lads from Corinthians, Simo, it's very tough to play against. Sean Doyle, you know, I think both league games he scored 1 or 2 headers against us, very hard to mark. Young Harry Horbury played really well from around. You know, I think we only beat them 4-1 or something like that. You know, he's going to be one for the future. And just, you know, Glenn and Brido have been good for us. Sam Kane was probably going to be up there with Jack and Reece if he hadn't got injured. He's a bit of a flake, so. But yeah, I mean, the future for the Isle of Man team is strong, because you know them players we're talking about there. They're all only, you know, 28-ish.
And they've got this whippersnapper obviously going to Anglesey with them, so
he's just cap hunting him to try and beat me.
It was. I'm trying to beat Johnny.
So Chris, who stood out for you this season?
I wouldn't argue with where the awards have gone to. Obviously, Sean scored the most goals, so he's always going to be up there for you know, in the hunt for the Player of the Year. Reece, I definitely wouldn't argue with Reece. I've obviously seen him in the games he's played against us and seen him in a couple of other games, and just down to pure work rate, and I think that's the majority of what people see in a game. His work rate is exceptional, and also his qualities, and he always had that when he was with St John's, just maybe didn't have the players around him. And I think going to Peel, he's shone because of the players around him as well. So I wouldn't argue with Reece at all, and I think it's well deserved. Like Johnny says, Jack's always going to be in and around it, because Jack is technically the best footballer on the Isle of Man. Frank Jones, he's always always a match winner in the big games, and they're really important for them sorts of awards.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that Frank hasn't won it at the minute, but who's to say he won't win it in the future? I mean, this year in the big game, the one that decided the league ultimately against Peel, it was a one-man show from what I know.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate for Frank that he's playing up against likes of Jack and Reese and things. But one player, Simo's there or thereabouts. Simo's been exceptional from when I've seen him play. The one player that we played against that I thought was brilliant in both games against us was a young lad called Dean Leese, played in midfield for St John's.
Yeah,
he was brilliant in both games, and I had heard about him before we played, not knowing who he was. Straight away, as soon as you get on the ball, you think that's him.
Yeah,
he's been talked about before, and yeah, he's only a small lad, very strong, so hard to knock off the ball. He's a good player.
Yeah,
there's just one other I forgot to mention there, which is Tom Wood. Now I hadn't seen much.
Yeah,
obviously, I when I played Appeal, Tom was just started training as a young fella, but God, he can put in a ball. I'm telling you, he's put in two absolute crackers against us. Obviously, not the miss hit one.
He never made that
for the final, but
never have to buy a drink again after that one.
Yeah, I mean, when he plays on the left, he can play centre half, left back. He's really good. And then the last one is Al Harrison. I think he deserves a mention because
definitely,
especially the second half of the season, he's been chipping in with goals, he's been playing and also managing at the same time.
Which is not easy, is it?
It's not easy at all. I mean, I've done it against Peel and Doug's Athletic, won both by the way. But
2 from 2.
But it's difficult because you're trying to think who's tired, how are we going to change it and play at the same time. So I think Al deserves.
I think he's managed it well, being of the same age and younger than some of the players. It's not easy. That's even an added pressure because you're sort of friends with him as well. So it's not easy to manage something like that. And for what he's done this year and the teams have put the effort in that they have done, he deserves massive credit, and it's good to see.
Do you think it helped him bringing Frank and Jack in, not just because of their playing ability, but because then they'd almost be like lieutenants for in the squad, wouldn't they? And you'd almost have a coaching team there, wouldn't he, with them two?
Yeah, well, Frank breeds excellence. You know what I mean? He wants everyone to be as fit as him, and everyone to be at every training session like he is, and he demands it, and that's what's happened. Yeah. Even when we were training, he'd be at the front, and if he'd want everyone there, and we were all there every week. So I think that part of it, Alex hasn't really had to do much in that. Frank's just leading them on, and that's when he's a captain. He's not the type of captain that's gonna, organise stuff here and there and get all the youngsters G'd up. He leads by example, and that's in his play, in his effort, his work rate, his attitude. He'll never go out on a Friday before a game, and I think him bringing that in, and then having sort of like Steady Eddie Jack who. He's horizontal most of the time. It's a great balance, and he's worked wonders there, hasn't he?
Yeah, there's a case of any of the top 5 teams this year. If you put Jack and Frank into them teams, there's a case that any of them 5 teams will win the league.
Yeah.
Just on the basis of what Johnny's saying there, that the excellence and the determination that he wants everybody to show, and the work ethic, and then you've got the qualities of Jack. Yeah. You could put them in any of the top 5 teams, and I think there's a case for them to win the league. But I know that they added other players. Josh Thomas has been exceptional. His work rate is exactly the same.
Yeah, the Cummins brothers. Alex has been raving about Declan this year.
Are they both
centre mid?
Are we talking? Centre mid, but they're both a bit versatile as well. I think they've played at full back and stuff like that. And then they just seem to get on with it, roll the sleeves up and get on with it. Yeah. I
think if we're going to go through their team, and I know that they've worked hard, but if you look at right through the spine of their team, you could have Al Harrison, Carl Clark, a great centre half pairing.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't lose a header. As fit as anyone. I know Carl is anyway.
Yeah.
Jack and Frank in the centre midfield. Is there a better centre midfield on the island?
No.
And then you've got Hudgie, who's 1 minute he's a world beater and the next he's missing, but when he's a world beater he'll grab goals all over the place. And he still had Josh Thomas, and you've had the games I've Sammy Gellan when he's been here, but the games I've seen Craig Murphy play, I think he changed the game against us up at St George's, definitely, because he just had a completely different dimension in the second half for them.
Connor Birch has impressed me.
And Connor Birch as well. His improvement over the years has been brilliant.
And again, another player that can play in a few different positions, and I think that's where St Mary's maybe have looked out this season, is because they have players that will just slot into a different roles depending on where they're needed.
Yeah, I'd agree, yeah.
Right, we've got tons of social media questions for you, Per, as expected. Dave, you want to kick off?
Yeah, first one's in from Jim's manager, Tony Shorts, to both of you, and it's something we've already touched on anyway, but do you find still playing alongside the younger lads coming through is more beneficial than watching from the sidelines to pass on your experience?
Yes, definitely, because I've done both this year, and when I was younger and I was playing alongside Bass Senior, Faulkner, Rob Wakenshaw, people like that, playing with them and seeing them actually on the pitch with you and talking to you is a lot more beneficial to them than just on the sideline trying to direct them what to do, because it's harder when they're shouting on, because you're trying to listen, you're trying to concentrate on what you're doing. So I think it's definitely, and I reckon the young lads will agree, training with us and playing with us is definitely 100% better than people just watching on the sideline.
I'd say so. I hope that they sort of appreciate us trying to help them in sort of game management, like Johnny alluded to before, just talking to them and information on the pitch, whereas like we did when Falky, my dad, Rob Wakenshaw were playing, the information they gave you is invaluable.
Yeah.
And I hope that they appreciate the same for us, because sometimes doesn't always come across in the best way. I mean, there is times where all you want to do is encourage them, but there is times where you have to sort of give them a bit of a shouting at, because you have to have a standard, and we just hope that they sort of appreciate that and recognise that, and they are getting better, but as they get a voice they start to answer you back a little bit more, but they do understand their game, they know they do. And I think sometimes from the sideline it is a lot harder, like Johnny says, because my dad on the sideline wants to play every single pass, he wants to be involved in every single tackle, so it's all constant information, and you can't take it in.
No.
So when the game stops and there's a throw-in or there's a corner and stuff, and you're just giving them little bits of information to try and help them on in the game, I think that's important as a young person, as a young player.
I think it also benefits that they never know, they've heard Chris was a good footballer. They never seen him, so they're kind of getting information, thinking, well, you're giving me this, how do I know you know what you're talking about? Whereas when they're actually playing and we're giving them information, they know because they can see we're actually doing what we're saying.
There was
and
once,
they think, that's right.
I think when Pekka just started coming through St George's and he was playing in the combi, I think my dad played a game with him up front one time, and I remember Pekka saying to me that he's the best player he's ever played with, and my dad didn't move. He never moved at all in the whole game. They played up front together, and he said every time my dad said move 5 yards this way, go 5 yards that way, and when the ball's up in the air you make you run, he said I was on to the end of everything. And every time I moved 5 yards, the ball dropped me, and that's just an experience thing. My dad didn't have to move because he didn't have the legs.
Yeah.
And Peck said just that constant information. I knew exactly where to be, and I was getting on the end of the ball all the time, and it's just an experience thing.
Yeah. And
we've said there's no way that they're going to know who my dad was and how good he was, because we've said before, when we started playing with St George's, these lads weren't even born.
Yeah, that is the scary thing.
So they're never going to know how good my dad was,
Yeah.
and the likes of Falky for Peel.
Yeah.
Let alone, like, they haven't seen us in our prime maybe, but...
I don't know, you two are still in your prime. What was Tony's other question?
Yeah, Tony also asked you, Chris, did you think at any stage James were going to knock you out of the cup?
It would have been the cup set of all cup sets.
Yeah, I think it would have been, and I think there was a point, where I thought, this is going to be a major upset here. We weren't playing well at all. It just wasn't clicking on the day. We would try to put the moves together, it just wasn't happening, and then you try and force things. I was quite impressed with some of their players. The lad that played in midfield scored the first goal for them. He was really Dicko, they call him.
Was that
Simon Dixon? Is that Dixon?
Yeah, he was good, very good. They looked to get him on the ball all the time, and he was good. But yeah, it was one of them days where you think it's just not going to happen for us. And we did get the biggest telling off of all time at half time. And we didn't go in the change room, so people that were stood watching heard every word. And
the Phil Brown.
There's a few things that have been said since that he shouldn't be saying that type of things on the at half time when you're not in the change rooms, but you've got to.
And it worked though.
It worked in the end. I mean, I think maybe fitness told. I don't know, a little bit of extra quality, but
yeah,
we missed chances, but they worked hard. But the longer they stayed in the game, the harder they worked.
Yeah,
and we could have been knocked out easily.
And I think that's you've been victims of your own success in many ways in the cup. You've had teams that just didn't field against you. Kurt Michael, I think, and was it
two in
the last few seasons. And it's credit to Jim's that they did, had a good performance, it's probably given him a springboard for the end of the season.
So you have to look at that. I mean, on the day, anything can happen in football. So for someone like Jim's to turn up and put the effort in they did, then it's all credit to them.
Yeah.
So there's no point. It just don't see the point in people turning around saying, "Oh, I don't want to play against them."
Yeah, exactly.
You're defeated before you turn up.
We spoke to Tony about it. I think at the time we had him in around.
We had him for the
walking football, and he was saying that you want to play against the best lads. That's why you're playing football.
Exactly.
So why not? This is why we're turning up.
Yeah.
So very well done to
Congratulations,
Tony there. Next question is we're going to go to Scottish football now.
Yeah.
For the first time this season, I think. So Johnny was from Nick Bass, Chris's brother. He says, "What was the score when Forfar last played East Fife?"
Well, I done some research on this, so because before I done the research, I thought it was East 5-4, 4-4-5, but it was actually East 5-2, 4-4-3. There you go, Nick.
Nick, a big fan of Scottish low league football, is he?
Nick's a
Chris?
fan of everything. Anything to do with football, he's a fan of everything. He's a mindful of useless knowledge when it comes to football.
He actually a few times this year on social media he's answered questions we've asked, hasn't he? He's usually spot on, so thanks for that, Nick.
Yeah.
Steve Whitley, Dave.
Yeah, question for both of you. To name your best five-a-side team from players played with in the island. It's a tough one. So we'll start with you, Johnny.
Yeah, start with me because I've got mine down. So,
Yeah.
so I done a subs bench of 2.
Okay.
Just because it was quite difficult. So, Chris made the subs bench with with Jack McVeigh.
That's just relegated you from his team then.
Yeah, oh no. So, so the 5-side team. I know Liam Doyle sort of spoke on this last time. So I've got myself in as a sweeper keeper. Yeah,
he spoke very highly of your goalkeeping.
Yeah. So from my Fairfield Millennium days, my goalkeeping exploits. But yeah, so I put myself in. I've got Rob Wakenshaw at the back because when he briefly trained with us in the Ballacamine gym. He was unbelievable. You know, his physique and his passing, and you know, it was just ridiculous to get past. Steve Faulkner, just little one touch around the corners, keep the ball moving. Very hard to get the ball off. Connor Doyle, probably the best one in there, I think, at 5-a-side, isn't he? He's just unbelievable. And Big Furo, you know, on his day at 5-a-side and futsal and doing things like that, he's just unbelievable. You know, it's hard to get the ball off, and you know, you can put the keeper in the net many a time. So that's mine. Myself, Rob Wakenshaw, Steve Faulkner, Connor Doyle and Furo.
Chris?
I agree with Johnny. I'm not in the team. I wouldn't put myself in it. I'd have Johnny, sweeper keeper. Rob Wakenshaw would be in it. Connor Doyle, Jack McVeigh, and Kieran Huntley.
Good team.
Very good team.
Johnny, you think you could maybe when the legs are gone, you could maybe go with Vinter goal. You could prolong your career for another 5-10 years. Then
It's a possibility, yeah. It is a very, very big possibility.
And now they're all playmakers now, goalkeepers, aren't they? All frustrated midfielders.
He'd have to leave because I don't think he'd get ahead of Glenn now.
I'd definitely be at Edison though.
Yeah.
Right, next question then. This is from Simon Dooley and Gav Gordon.
Yeah, a combination of both, I think.
Right, so this one's to both of you. Is there anything you think would have helped you in your pursuit to be professional footballers that coaches on the island could have done to prepare you for when you went off island? Hope I did that alright. So.
Yeah. Johnny?
Yeah, so I wrote down a few things of this. So when Chris and I first went over, the biggest thing was no one told you what to expect. They didn't know what you were going to go into, what they were looking for, and you were just like, oh, we got you a trial, you go on a Monday, see you later. We turned up and it's like, you know, what we're going to do, we're doing fitness, we're doing technique, you know, stuff like that. A biggest thing I think is the physical side. You know, people now, especially with under 16s down, everything's technique, everything's ball work. You know, there's not a lot of getting in the gym and getting down to like Ben Collins' gym and down to sports performance, you know, and things like that. I know they're doing it in other sports, so you know, football has to be that way. And also, I just think like also game management. So you all you're teaching again is technique and a bit of passing and shooting. You're not teaching them any shape to play, or you know what the fullbacks need to do. If you're a fullback, you know, do you have to overlap at this situation, or you know, if you're a striker, all the movement. I think a bit more sort of kind of like one-to-one coaching on their positions will be beneficial, instead of obviously you could get down the centre of excellence. They do a great job, great coaches down there, you know, like really, really good coaches. So maybe they need to be coached, and maybe that's something the FA can look at. Yes, there's a cost to that, but would the cost outweigh the benefits in the long run? No, I don't think so. But yeah.
When you were away, did you always have the luxury of playing in your preferred position though? Was it a possibility of like, oh right, we're short a right winger today, Johnny? You're gonna have to put your
No, this is prime example, isn't it, of when I went away. So when me and Chris went to and Steelo went to Stockport, I was a centre midfielder. So I went over there, played centre mid. Someone, I think Chris mentioned to him, oh, you can play right back as well. So I played right back on the Monday, and then the Tuesday, and played really well. And then I went into a big tackle with one of their players, got injured but carried on. He went off, and then I didn't train the rest of the week, but they'd seen something.
Yeah.
And then that's when they signed me. So one of the last thing I always say is they're looking to someone to stand out, not to fit in. So it's very easy. There's lots of players over here who could just go over there, go into a team in a position and not look out of place at all. But you've got to kick someone out of that team that's already in there in the lower age group. So it's right, isn't it? You have to have something that they go, you've got something that he hasn't, and that's what I'm going to take a chance on.
Yeah. Chris, do you agree with Johnny said?
100%. It's definitely changed now in terms of physical attributes to when we first started going. I think a lot of clubs now are looking at technical ability, obviously athleticism as well, but not so much physical presence because that might come as you get older.
Yeah.
It depends on where you go in sort of league terms. I think as you go down the leagues, definitely the physicality has more to do with it. But I think it's when I obviously found Johnny had the physique and the strength, whereas I didn't. So it might have been beneficial for me to go elsewhere rather than England. I was told that maybe I should have gone Germany or Spain or somewhere like that to suit my size. I think now that might have changed in England, but I think it's a streetwise thing. I think when you go across, and like Johnny says, don't just fit in. I was always told by my dad, if you go, be the first in, be the last out. When you get there, you don't want to be seen to be trying too hard and show, and trying to fit into the group. Trying to fit into the group, because if you come in and if you go in and you're like first in through the door and last out because you're doing loads of different extras, I think straight away you might start getting a little bit of a few snidey comments. Lads, I certainly felt that, and I didn't put the effort in that I should have done when I was away at Oldham. In terms of coaching, Johnny's saying about positional sense, which is important, and I think one of the most important things there is first touch and body position when you're receiving the ball, because you have to have a picture in your mind of the players that's going on. I think some players you can coach it, others just have it, but there is something in it where if you can receive the ball and half turn, being able to see the whole picture, you're halfway there really, and if your first touch is good enough, then you're halfway there. I just think that some players you can coach and some players you can't, and there's not a lot other coaches can do, but information's a fair one, because I went to Leicester for my very first trial. I was picked up when we played in a tournament in Leicester for St Geordies under 14s. A couple of weeks later I was asked to go to Leicester on trial, and my dad had spoke to Rob Wakenshaw, had been involved in professional football, and he said to me, go there and don't lose possession, just keep hold of the ball, keep the ball moving, pass to your teammates. And the scout that picked me up was stood next to my dad and he said, what's he doing? That's not why we got him here. We got him here because he was quick and he was dynamic and he was going past players and beating players and crossing the ball. And he said, we've got 10 other players that can pass the ball.
Classic example of that is Danny Piddington. Now, is he?
He's up,
So when he was training with us, Dean Piddington, sorry. When Dean was training with us, he was so skillful, tricky, and this is like at a really young age. And when he went to Everton first, I think, wasn't it? And all they do is they would pass. And he was just coming in and dribbling like Ryan Giggs, in and out. And they seen him and went, bloody hell, get him in. And then they didn't try and coach him out of it. They just said, you just do what you do.
Run with what you've got. Yeah. He's exceptional. And I think...
Do you think that's the culture shift you're talking about? Kids now are just told to express themselves.
Well, I think they have to.
Rather than try and fit.
I think the English game's trying to change and trying to catch up with everybody else, and it's working. And if you look through the age groups of the English team now, from the seniors right through to the under-17s, they've all winning tournaments now. So it is changing slowly and it's working. So there is that culture change. But someone like Dean, with all that technical ability and skill that he's got, why would you want to change that? Why would you want him to just suddenly go, I don't want you to, I want you to receive it, turn out and pass it?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
We've got other players that can do that on the pitch.
Yeah.
Adam Long's been given a contract by Wigan for next
great.
season, which is brilliant
Fantastic.
news.
Yeah.
And he's got completely different attributes because of the size of him.
Yeah.
It works for him. He's a left-footed centre half, which is there's
Yeah.
not many of them about.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
For him, that's good news. So that's a good step for the Ireland team, for the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
And for Dean, I think if it's probably, I don't want to put any pressure on, but if he doesn't make it, I don't see who else is ever going to make it, because I don't think there's been anyone as good as him coming through for years and years and years.
Wow. That's high praise for
It
you.
is, it is, yeah.
Next question from Simon and Gav is for you, Johnny. Now, you might have to translate a little bit for me this.
Yeah.
Too darn hot being pulled from the Guineas, which
Yeah.
is also presumably
Yeah.
that. But going to Zaffi at York in the Dante.
Yeah.
Is it backing it for the derby, backing blind?
All I'll say to Gav is it'll win today, but it won't win the derby. So there you go.
Heard it here first.
There you
I'll
go.
check the odds out.
Short and sweet, yeah.
Next question, Dave.
Yeah, this is from the official Douglaston District Twitter account. So, first up, how was Andrew Gosmold as a coach? He played for us for 5 years from 2009 and was instrumental in setting up our junior boys in 2012 and coached them for 5 years. The club now have boys and girls aged 4 to 12 and boys 14s next season, and many teams, thanks in large part to his hard work.
So you mentioned Gozzy before, Johnny.
Yeah, Goz came in and he was brilliant. You know, he hadn't really sort of coached and helped out with a senior team, and especially one with sort of the personalities in our kind of squad. But he was brilliant. He's so enthusiastic. He was always there first. Everything was set up. You know, we had great equipment. The sessions were brilliant. They were never boring. He changed them up all the time. And then as the sort of season got on, he kind of sort of found out where he was with Chris. You know, as when he can come in and say something and when not to. And he gave, and he got involved, and he was proper, not just coaching sort of on the training ground, but watching from the sideline and coaching players individually and as a team. And I can't speak more highly than Goz. Last year, in fact, when Chris sort of left, and I was thinking about doing the player manager job, he was the first person I rang to see if he'd come and help me. He turned me down in the end, but hopefully one day when I do manage, I'll get to work with him again, because you need him in a club, I think.
Chris, you're nodding there, obviously.
Exactly the same. I couldn't speak highly of him enough as well, because, like Johnny says, his enthusiasm is brilliant, and it's no surprise that he's been instrumental in setting up all them coaching them junior teams for Douglaston District, because he's just great. His sessions are brilliant. We had a pre-season there, which was completely different to any pre-season we've had before, and we worked just as hard, and it was all different stuff. And it's something that is refreshing, because you can run around the pitch 100 times and you get fit, but you get bored. But when you got someone like that with all these different ideas of how you can work hard but still enjoy yourself, it was great fun. Like Johnny says, as the season went on, unfortunately for him, we didn't really have the facilities for coaching sessions during the winter.
Right.
We had a gym session on the Tuesday, where realistically you can't put sessions on other than 5-side games, and you can try and manage the game a different way, 1 touch, 2 touch, no head heights and all. And then on the Thursday we were running, so what input can he have in something like that? And it was unfortunate for him. And in games when you've got like my dad and someone like Lee Dixon, there's just no room for him to have an input in the team, because Dicko's got an experience of any type of coaching level. He's great on the island. He's probably the best coach there is on the island in terms of senior football and where he's been and what he's learned from other people. But for Goz, we'd have him back tomorrow, and I did speak to him in the summer as well, because I thought the same thing as Johnny, where I thought Johnny might take over, and to have Goz back would be brilliant. Even if he wanted to come back now, my dad was still in charge.
Yeah,
it's great. He's a breath of fresh air. He's so enthusiastic, and his sessions are so well planned. You can't not enjoy it, but you're working hard too. And it's a shame that he's not still with us, but I know he had other commitments.
Yeah. We talk about your dad being able to pick out a young player, but he's done well as coaches. Some of the coaches he's worked with have
been lucky. He's been lucky, but also he's sort of handpicked them as well himself. He's seen something in people and he's handpicked them, but he has been lucky in who he's been able to work with, especially like Paul O'Brien as a goalkeeping coach. Yeah. Where would you get that? He turned up one day and started watching St Geordies, and then slowly, gradually got involved, and where else would you get someone like him?
Probably revolutionised goalkeeping coaching in the island as well.
And now he's back involved with the island, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, amazing. Agent Rashid has been on, as always. He says, Johnny, great header the other night. What is your greatest goal you've ever scored? Now, we always talk about the quickest goal we think in top Manx football history, I mean, which you ping one in from the halfway line.
Yeah, so the kick off. That was kind of one on the list. It's quite difficult to go for, like, is it the best sort of technique type one or the best situation type one? So I've wrote down 5.
Right.
So I'll narrow it down. So there was one, I can't remember if you remember it, Peel. We played Peel, I think it was the year I come back. We just St George's had just stayed up, and we played Peel in a cup game, and we were 2-1 down, right into injury time, and I scored to equalise in the cup when they had replays. I think it was the ill-fated sort of mass brawl in the car park afterwards. And,
I don't think I was there.
yeah, but there was loads when we had the old bank at the top, and there was loads watching, and that was kind of one of my first games back. My header against Leeds is up there. There's a couple of thousand fans watching there. But the one I think is the best one was St Mary's one. I'd scored a couple that year, but I can't remember, I think Judge threw it into me in our own half in the D, and I flicked it over with my head, and then half volleyed one from like in our D, and it went in off the bar. So yeah, just the cream on
the same game that you scored the one.
No, it wasn't the same game. It was the same season. So
and it was the same end as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that one I'd probably say is my best one.
What about you, Chris?
Mine, I don't know, the one I keep coming back to, the one that keeps coming into my head, it's the one when I was 14 and we played down at the Bowl, and we weren't one of the better teams, St George's. We had some great players, Rob Wakenshaw, Graham Bramwell, my dad, Falky, and it was my first ever start for St George's, and it was against St Mary's, who were the league champions, and they were the best team on the island.
Yeah.
We won that day 2-1. I'd set the first goal that Brammy scored, and the second one was a header. Someone took a free kick out wide, and it was like a header from the edge of the box. and I was only 14, and I remember turning around to the bench, and there was Chris Coxon and Johnny was sat there and stuff, and they were jumping up and down, going mental. And that's just one that sticks in my mind. There's others that I've enjoyed scoring. I think I scored one against Jim's the other week that it was timely because of the way the game was going, but I quite enjoyed that. From
what you headed for the Isle of Man?
The header from the Isle of Man, exactly the same, from the edge of the box. Yeah, that was a good goal. But I think the one that sticks in my mind, the one I enjoyed the most, was probably one of the very first ones against St Mary's.
I think we've answered the second part of the question, which was how many seasons you think you'll keep playing, because we think we covered that earlier.
I would put it out there and say 3 minimum.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to hold you to that, Johnny. You've got your goalkeeping career to build.
I've also got the vets, haven't I? So
yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. I tell you what, you guys will be sort of sought after when you all turn. Well, I know you're turning 35 at the moment, but you must be getting phone calls from the vets teams, surely.
Yeah. So I committed to Onken this year. Tristan was a persistent messenger. But yeah, I'm happy playing there. It's a good laugh, and it's not like they do take it seriously. I think Colby have been at the top for a couple of years now, or 3 or 4 years at least. Peel always got a great team, but it's a great bunch of lads, and they all try on a Sunday, even though the majority are hungover.
We talked about this thing last time you were in, Chris, as well. St George's vets team at any point,
We did look at it. We're trying to have a look at if we'd have enough players and things like that. But I mean, while we're still playing on a Saturday, it's quite difficult. At least if you're playing with someone else, you can drop out if they're going to have enough players. But we'll probably be scratching at a bare sort of 12, 13, and it can be very difficult to play Saturday 90 minutes and Sunday 80 minutes.
Yeah, I don't envy there at all.
We'll watch this space when it does happen, because that team is going to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Last questions in from Dave Matheson from D&D. It's a question for you, Chris. So talk about your time at Oldham.
He's of course an Oldham super fan.
He is.
Super fan, isn't he?
How are senior pros like John Sheridan, Ian Dowie, Paul Murray and David Ayres? Also, there's a couple of other questions like who was the best in the reserves? Will Haynen went on to captain the first team. Scott Vernon scored the winner versus Man City in the FA Cup. So
I was trialling for Oldham while I was in school from the age of about 14 onwards, and I was going sort of every school holiday. And I loved the club. It was such a friendly club. My granddad's a big fan, and kind of got me in there a little bit. He phoned up manager one. This is just going off track a bit, but this is what my granddad's like. One day I was watching Sky Sports. Oldham were playing towards the end of the season against Southampton. I think it was a relegation battle, and the Sky camera panned across the dugout. And my granddad sat next to Joe Royle. No joke, he's just sat there, he's gone to watch the game, just walked down the steps. And he's a massive Oldham fan, so he's someone that kind of like pushed me into going to Oldham. I really enjoyed it, and I thought, I'm going to get a contract. This was at the time when myself and Johnny and Steve were going trial in the Stockport as well. It just didn't work out for some reason or other. It just didn't work out, and I found out that that summer, some of the players that they'd taken didn't turn up for Oldham the following season for their YTS contract. The coach never turned up. Okay. So I went away for a couple of years doing different things, and then my granddad phoned Oldham back up again and said he's played for English colleges, he's played for English schools, British colleges. He's come pre-season, 6 weeks, we'll have a look. And Ian Dowie was the manager at the time, whereas the first time it was Andy Ritchie. Yeah. And now Ian Dowie's a completely different character. He likes a different type of player, and this goes back to what we were talking about before, the physical attributes. Ian Dowie had you training 3 times a day. You'd be swimming in the morning at 7 o'clock, you'd have your breakfast, you go training, and then in the afternoon, not every day, but most days, you do boxing sessions in the gym. And you know, I'm not a big swimmer, I wasn't great in the boxing gym. The pros that came from other clubs, from mainly like the southern clubs, like London clubs, the pros that came there were like, what is this about? Yeah. We turned up at 10:30, trained at 11, finished for 12 o'clock and gone home. They weren't used to it either. Yeah. So it was a complete different culture shock, and I'd missed the 2 years of coaching to the lads that were my age. I'd missed that, and Scott Vernon was my age. Yeah. I'd missed that 2 years of development and physicality and stuff. So when I went in, I was a third year YTS on a non-contract who was expected to sort of start playing in the reserves, and I just didn't have that physicality side to my game. So in terms of likes of Ian Dowie, I wasn't his type of player. Although he took me on, gave me a chance, I just wasn't his type of player. John Sheridan's a completely different sort of coach, but he coaches a little bit. I don't think he wasn't too keen on me either, right? For different reasons. Paul Murray, I sort of knew anyway because he's big friends with Lee Dixon. They were at Carlisle together. Yeah. So we had good chats and stuff like that, and he helped me on a little bit. David Ayres was quite quiet, never really got to speak to him much, but he was someone that played on the left wing like myself. He was about 38, 39 at the time, going up and down the wing, so I thought, well, you know, he's someone I should be modelling myself on, but I just think it was wrong time. It wasn't necessarily the wrong club, because I loved Oldham, and it was a real good family club. It was just the wrong time for me, with the wrong manager. So it was difficult. I didn't, like I said to you, I didn't make it easy for myself because I didn't work as hard as I should have worked. It's just one of them things. The reserves, Will Haynen, he broke into the first team as I was there. Scott Vernon, my age, broke into the first team. Good players. I think Paul Murray was playing in and out the reserves and stuff at the time, so Muzzer was good, very good. Scott went on to play for Aberdeen, scored loads of goals for Aberdeen in their first team.
I think Will Hayden played in Scotland as well in the SPL. So.
But there was real good experiences, and I did play in a lot of reserve games. We played against Man United. We actually beat Man United at Boundary Park 2-1. Wow. Dan Fletcher was playing. I remember on my side of the pitch was Jimmy Davis that played for United. He died in a car crash that summer on loan at Watford. We played at Molineux against Wolves, and Kenny Miller was playing, so you got real good experiences. But I just think, in terms of like the senior pros with us, I didn't really ever get the opportunity to get to know them or get any advice from them, because I was always within the under-18 squad, because I just didn't kick on to the reserves when I should have. So it was difficult for them, but I just wasn't fancied by Ian Dowie because I just wasn't his type of player. Just unfortunate.
It's one of the things. It shows you how much being in the right place at the right time.
Right time.
Does make a massive difference, doesn't it? Yeah. Adam, we could say he's the other way around. He's obviously found a club that believe in him, and he's played a lot of football. Obviously, their under 18s are phenomenal. I think they've won everything this year. Johnny, probably correct me. But and then he's obviously been in that first team squad in the last couple of weeks. Was it Birmingham? Wasn't it, Dave? I think
yes, away at St Andrews. Good experience. Obviously, didn't get on the pitch, but
And you talked about the age group, England age groups. 2 of them are in the England 17 squad. Jensen Weir and Charlie Jolly or something.
I actually messaged Adam the other week because one of the lads scored for the under 17s, England under 17s, and I said to Adam, is that the lad you play with, Joe Greenhart, something.
Gelhart. Yeah.
And he said, yeah, that's him. So I think a lot of them have been given contracts bar 4 for next season, which is good.
It's great to take.
But the advice I was given, or my dad was given, when I went on my first trial at Leicester, I think we knew I wasn't getting taken on because I didn't do what I should have done in that trial game. He said, make sure wherever he goes to a club where the coach likes him.
Yeah.
And I know that's not easy to find, but there is always a place where, like I said, Adam's got to Wigan through Alex Gibson and Lee Dixon.
And Bruce Gregor as well.
Yeah, and they like him.
Yeah.
So it's going to help. And I think where Dean Pennington's concerned, a lot of clubs were chasing him. He preferred Wolves because he liked the feel of the club and he liked the lads that he was involved with. So they like him as well. So that makes it a lot easier. So if there's a coach that really likes you, regardless of what standard and where you're playing at, that's a major part in it.
Yeah, massively. Right, well, while we've got you in, we'll just have a quick look ahead to next week's fixtures, because we're at that bitty end of the season, aren't we, Dave?
Yeah, so a bit all over the place.
Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, be there or be square at the Bowl, St George's vs St Mary's. Dave, you going to hazard a prediction before we...
Gosh, I wouldn't like to say in this one. I think it's got extra time written all over it, to be honest.
I saw Frank is at the Northwest. Is he flying
back? I think he's flying back, yeah, but I think Sean's there as well.
Oh, right.
And I seen Jack posting some pictures of him enjoying himself away as well. So I think they're back though. I know they're missing possibly the Declan and Aiden, yeah. So I don't think they're in the squad. But like you say, their squad is very deep this year. So
Sam fit? Sam Kane?
Sam is not fit. No.
Lewis wasn't in the squad the other night either.
Is he? He's not going to be fit.
He's not going to be fit either, which is a shame.
So we've had to do a bit of rejigging around, but
Sam and Lewis big players for us this year. So that's a big loss to us. But
it should be. I've said end of season cracker.
Yeah, I think it'll be
Summer sizzler.
Summer sizzler.
Yeah.
Nice.
But what better way to end the season? The top two teams going head to head in the cup final.
Yeah, a Friday night always a bit of a different atmosphere.
I seen the poll on Facebook. I think St Mary's had 68% of the votes, so it's great for us.
Have you enjoyed being under the radar a bit this season? Is it?
I think there's two ways of looking at it. We've been disappointed because we've not won the league, because that's what you set out to win all the time, and we have had chances to win them big games, like I said before. But then you look at it, and with the players we've lost and what we've had to work with and bring other players through, if we win tomorrow, you could say we've overachieved.
Oh, massively. Yeah, I think that's...
Yeah, I would disagree with me. I still think we've underachieved. I said at the start of the season that we'd be right up there, and because I knew how good the young players were going to be. Maybe we've overachieved in everyone else's eyes, but not in our eyes. I feel we should have been a lot closer to St Mary's in the league. We were naive in the cup final when we lost that one. We had no qualms losing against Peel in the 4-2 one. But yeah, I think we'll be bang there next year.
But as you say, a great way to finish the season, and that momentum takes you through the close season, doesn't it? Saturday afternoon, Dave, big game in Division 2.
Yeah, Foxdale v Ramsey. So basically, it's Ramsey's last game of the season.
Yeah.
If they get a point, they're promoted. If they win, they're champions.
So
there's a lot riding on it. I thought Ramsey played well, and Chris, you alluded to it before. They had a good spell in that second half against you guys, and they played most of that match with 10 men, which is obviously tough. I think what happened, watched Foxdale as well a couple of weeks ago against Moran. They're a good side. Obviously, Jay Chatwood's a good player. I think this will be close, but I think Ramsey will just have a bit too much.
I think with you, will it be a point or 3? I'm not so sure. I think a point, and it could be Pulley go up as champions, and you sent them a pipped on goal difference. It'll be.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a Ramsey comfortable victory. I think
they played. I watched them against Old Boys, and they played well. Obviously, Old Boys were missing a few for the Stag thing, but they played very well, and they seem to have peaked at the right time of the season.
They impressed me on Tuesday. They got a couple of young lads up front who are very good. Dylan Pickles, yeah. And another young lad up front, number 10.
Tom Bentham.
Yeah, he was good. In the centre half, decent as well.
Mike
the captain.
Lurger, yeah.
And obviously got Andy and Monty in midfield. So they've got a really good spine, some good young players. So I think
I fancy them to win.
Yeah.
On Saturday, and I think they'll be fine next year.
Yeah.
Not a problem at all if they continue to put the work in like they've done this year.
Yeah.
Like Johnny said, they peaked at the right times. They'll be fine next year. They're a good side.
Masters FA Cup semi-finals on Sunday, Johnny. Obviously, you're involved against Peel at Peel. Can Onken, the Mighty O's, get into the final?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I played my first game there for Onken, 3-3. They're obviously a really good side, Peel. You know, you got your Daniel Lace, Megsons, buddy, John Roberts, you know, Twanner, people like that. You Nigel Shimlins. You got a lot of ex-internationals there. Stu didn't play last time, but you know, we've got a good side. We've got obviously myself. We've got Dave Priestnell, who's, you know, at that level, he's quicker than anyone. Who else? We've got Jack Sharma at the back, who's still playing for Onken Combi. So it's going to be a tough game. Don't get me wrong, especially if I played 90 minutes or more on Friday. But yeah, I'll go for a 1-0 victory for the Mighty O's.
I'm going to go for an Onken win as well. As Johnny's playing, he's in good goal scoring form, so I'm going to go for an Onken win. Johnny get on the sheet as well.
Where do you slot into the lineup for the vets? Are you a bit further?
Centre mid, yeah.
Pulling the strings.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've scored 4 in 2, so 3, so not doing too bad.
Decent header against Onken the other night, despite Fura trying to steal it off you.
Against Ramsey.
Yeah.
No, it was a superb header.
The other semi sees Laxey take on Colby. Obviously, you've played a couple of games in this competition. You've said Colby being the dominant team.
I think Colby will be strong favourites for this year. We played Laxey, but they only had 9 men when we played them at the ball, so it was pretty comfortable. But you know, Colby are a very strong side, and I think there's about 7 of them still playing. You know, in senior football.
Flash,
so
Andy Baker.
So I can see a Colby victory there.
Not tempting you yet, Masters?
I'm not interested in the Masters football, no. It's like I said, if I'm not 100% committed, I'm not...
You won't be allowed, will you?
No.
Amy won't,
No, she's good.
Chris Senior wouldn't let him.
No, she's good. You got to have someone that supports you, and she supports me. She's there every game, but I just think I just don't want to be non-committal to something. I want to be committed, and I just don't know if I'd put the time in.
Yeah, it is difficult.
Yeah.
We'll just run down the rest of the fixtures next week. Starting on Mondays, the Cal Cup semi-finals. Dave and Brown take on Ramsey at St John's, because obviously Brown's pitch is now cricket. Set out for cricket. St George's versus Castletown. Obviously, you coaching that team, Johnny?
I am, yeah. Myself and Gaz.
So who would you say will emerge victorious from them 2 semi-finals?
I think, you know, we have got a very strong Cal Cup team. Depends, obviously. We carry any injuries over from Friday, but you know, Joe Quayle coming back in, Sid's back, you got Mally, Jay, you know, it's half the first team or more than half the first team. I think we could actually have 2 teams this year.
Right.
But around Ramsey, I've not seen much of either, but I mean, Ramsey have obviously got a lot of young players that play in the first team, and Moran are near top of doing well the under 18, so I'll probably just edge a Ramsey win there, I think.
I think I'll go Ramsey from what I seen the other night. If that's the majority of their Cal Cup team, I'd fancy Ramsey. I know Moran obviously are a young side, their senior team's young team anyway.
Young Harry as well.
Close. Young Harry,
coming back from injury. He's
following in his dad's footsteps.
Yeah. As his dad keeps telling me every time.
His dad was a good keeper, wasn't he?
Yeah. On Tuesday night, it's the last Candle Left Premier League game of the season. St Mary's take on Old Boys at 6:30. So when I spoke to Frank after they clinched the title of the week with a convincing 10-0 win over Tools Athletic, they said they want to win this because they want to win the league by as many points as they can, and they should do, shouldn't they? Although Old Boys, they're so hard to predict.
They were brilliant against us in the 0-0. They were so good against us in that. They just pressed and fought and ran, and they should have won that game, definitely against us. I reckon I'm going to go for an Old Boys sneaky win, I think. Last game of the season, you know, they need to. There's a lot of them maybe leaving or retiring, so I think they kind of owe it to themselves and Liam to put one over on them, I think.
You agree, Chris? Or do you think St Mary's will want to finish?
Yeah, I agree with the last bit. Yeah, they probably do owe it to themselves, and if they are going to stop playing, a lot of them, the majority of them, why not go out with beating the league champions? Would be the best way to go out, wouldn't it? But I don't really see anything else other than St Mary's win. When you've got a side that wants to win, determined to win by, that's what you want to do. You want to win the league form first and foremost. But if you want to try and win by as many points as you can. So it depends. Depends if St Mary's win tomorrow night, they're going to be flying.
Yeah.
But you know, I do fancy St Mary's for that anyway.
Dave?
I agree. We saw Old Boys push St Mary's in the cup, didn't they? Was it last month? It was 2-1. They did well then. They've got it within them, obviously, but I think St Mary's will be too strong.
The most frustrating jobs in Manx football, I think Liam has there.
Yeah, definitely.
World beaters 1 week, woeful the next. JCK Division 2 on Tuesday night as well as the final couple of games in that. It's his Uni Mills take on Ayr, which is the deadest of dead rubbers really, but I'm sure both teams will want to finish with a flourish.
Definitely.
And then, of course, Foxdale versus Douglas and District. Now, this Foxdale, if they lose on Saturday, they need 3 points to a point to pip Maloo to the final Gold Cup spot.
Yeah. So there's obviously a lot to play for them. They'll start this game as favourites anyway, and I think they'll.
Yeah, because indeed, I think we had the stat they haven't played for 42 days.
Yes.
So just the way that their fixtures have fallen. So I think Foxdale winning that. Johnny, do you agree?
Yeah, I haven't seen much of D&D, but yeah, Foxdale should win that.
42
Fancy air for the away win as well.
42 days is a long time, Chris. It's almost like another pre-season.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. How do you stay interested?
Yeah.
You know, you played one game a month and a half ago, and you got to come back and play another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Foxdale were too strong.
And I think that will secure their place in the Gold Cup along with Pulley, Youthy and Ramsey.
If rumours are to be believed, they're going to have a hell of a team next year.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah,
Yeah.
They'll be the team to.
So it's going to be
go for
some
next year.
very close for that Gold Cup, isn't it? Because we played and watched when we finished. There was it Maloo versus Pulley? Bloody hell, there was 200 odd around there watching. The atmosphere was brilliant.
Yeah.
So
That's been a great season, hasn't it? For Division 2.
I think both divisions have been good. Obviously, you mentioned the top 4 or 5 teams in the Premier League have been going head to head, and even at the bottom of the league, it went down to goal difference.
Yeah.
And then Division 2 has gone the distance as well. So it's been a great season all round. Under 18s is still not decided. They play their final games on Thursday, May 23rd. Moran versus St George's. You'd favour St George's because I don't think they've played Moran yet in the under 18s league. Don't
no, they've got 2 to play and they have to win both and get +2 goal difference. But I can see them being too strong for Moran on both games, and Laxey as well will be too strong for Onken.
Yeah, so it could be more silverware for the straining Glen Country Road Trophy cabinet if St George's win that.
And those games are likely to be switched as well, aren't they?
Yes, because both Moran and Onken are at home. Obviously, Onken is now the stock car central, isn't it? And Moran, obviously we mentioned before, it was a cricket pitch.
We just hope that they get played, like with the sort of Cal Cup last year.
Yeah.
They have to be. Tony he does a great job, but he has to try and get these games in somewhere. Even the Cal Cup finals got to be before TT. Really.
Well, we should say the Cal Cup finals, semi-finals are down for Monday, aren't they? Yeah. The first practice starts a week on Saturday, and Saturday is when the Gold Cup semi-finals are scheduled to be played. So
yeah, it's all go right down to the
line.
line.
I'm sure the lads, even whoever gets in the final, whether it's St George's or whoever, they'll play anywhere. As long as there's a pitch not going to be used for a campsite, they don't mind what pitch as long as they get to play the final. Yes, it's good to have it on the ball, but
pitches that are on campsites, so we're getting pretty rare these days. Yeah,
they get used now as well.
Yeah. The Braddon super.
It's just a good income for everybody, isn't it?
And you can understand why the clubs do it. To be honest, it does pay for a lot of things. Right, before we go, Dave reads the weather.
It's hopefully going to stay sunny today and most of Friday. There's a small chance of rain later on for the match, so who knows? And potentially wet start Saturday, but it will brighten up later on.
I thought you were going to go Scotch show.
No, not
so
quite.
I've just got a little plug here. So sort of Balla Boots. Not sure if you guys are aware of it.
Yes.
So
Furo's
he sent a load out there, and I'll send you this video from one of the lads who's got 2 pairs of boots there. So he's saying thanks. So I'll send you that. But if anyone out there has any boots in decent or better condition, so if they're really really tatty, then don't bother. But just send a message to the Facebook page,
and
Balla
kits.
Boots.
Yeah.
Kits as well. He's after kits.
Or
as
you
well.
can contact myself, or
I believe Sean's helped with some of the transport with that.
Sean's helped through Manx Independent for transport. So then they finally arrived this week. So
I saw some
good footage. Yeah, I spoke to Furu the other night, so we're going to do a follow-up piece on that.
A brilliant initiative.
Amazing.
Brilliant. And good effort all around by everybody.
St George's tour to Nigeria coming up.
Well, we've been sending kits to the Gambia for years and years through Stephen Pitts.
Oh right, yeah. Okay,
They must have loads of the old St George's kits out there, so that's something else.
Branch it out,
The African.
Be nice if we can get over there for a game.
Yeah,
open up an academy.
Final thing before we go, obviously St George's players Sid Batty and Castellan's Jack Kamada were involved in the English Schools under 18s Cup final on Saturday. Did you see that? They were playing at the Stokes 365 Bet Stadium, the old Britannia Stadium as I remember it. They won 2-1. Sid played 40 minutes before going off with injury. He was captain of the side for Lancashire, I should say. And then Jack got the assist
for the winner,
which was 92nd minute winner over Sussex.
Not a bad way to do it, eh?
There's a picture of them in the Indy today, and I heinously put that Sid got the assist, but it was Jack.
Oh, mate.
2 great players.
Two very good players.
Yeah.
Very good for the future.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, lads, thanks for coming in. I've thoroughly enjoyed that. I hope you have as well. It's been good to talk football.
Nice.
Good luck on Friday. Good luck in Anglesey, my man.
Thanks very much, yeah.
In Asmon.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Good.
you'll be there, obviously in your cardigan with your pipe and stuff. the older members of that
Probably
squad.
sat watching everybody.
Yeah.
That's a good squad.
Yeah.
Good squad. I tell you, I just wanted to say, watching the Brentford game,
Yeah.
the younger lads, and Paul's got a really good, mix of
Yeah,
seniors and young lads, and picking the squad must have been really difficult. But I think my position's under threat again from someone else now, Jacob Crook, because he was outstanding.
And he played left back as
Played
well.
left back. He went off injured, but he was outstanding. When we go training, week in week out, he's brilliant. He's another great prospect for the future.
And we should have this crop coming through, which is great.
Really good, yeah.
Hopefully keep them together, as you say.
Yeah.
But equally, if they go away, that's all good experience.
No, it's good,
yeah. Right, remember you can listen to all our back catalogue, which now numbers, I think we're nearly on 90 now, Dave.
Yeah, I keep thinking we're going to have to do something pretty big for the 100.
Yeah, maybe I get a balloon or something. Yeah.
Woo, yeah.
audioboom.com/channel/ManxFootball. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Deezer and Google Podcasts. Until next week.
Ta-ta for now.